Congressman Tim Burchett went on camera this week and said UAP-connected scientists and researchers are disappearing at a rate that simply can't be explained, but he connected it to the declassification order. He said the president is being kept in the dark, and he said something else unprompted that we're going to get into a little bit later. We'll also be discussing a NASA photo published this week that looks so close to a viral hoax image back from August of 2025 that this community needs to see them side by side. Both triggered the same global reaction, and the similarities between these two raises a question worth asking out loud. Hey ufologers, I'm Cristina Gomez, and welcome back to this episode of UFO News Updates. All sources for today's episode are at ufonews.co, and that link is in the description box below. Congressman Tim Burchett was asked on the Benny Johnson show about the growing number of scientists and researchers with ties to classified aerospace and UAP programs who have gone missing or passed away in a compressed timeline.
The GOP suggests there may be a conspiracy play. Well, they ought to start thinking there is, because the FBI shows up when the guy's missing. He had some, everybody's thinking it's UFO, but he had some nuclear secrets. There's just too many of them disappearing, Benny.
Here is why this matters. He is a member of the House Oversight Committee, and he has sat in classified briefings. He has access to information the public doesn't have, and he does not have to say any of this publicly, but he chooses to repeatedly. And since July of 2026, he also chairs the House Subcommittee on Delivering of Government Efficiency. And it's worth being very clear about what that is, because there's a genuine confusion at this point. This is not Elon Musk's DOGE. Musk's DOGE was an executive branch initiative launched by President Trump in July of 2025 and was effectively wound down as a centralized operation by November of 2025. What Burchett chairs is a separate, entirely congressional body, a legislative subcommittee under the House Oversight Committee, with the authority to hold hearings, demand answers on federal funding, and rights enforceable laws. Two different branches of government, two different structures. They just happen to be the same acronym, DOGE. So that distinction matters here because Burchett's argument on UAP has always been a spending argument as much as a disclosure argument. If classified UAP programs don't exist, well, where is the money going? If those programs are real but hidden from congressional oversight, that is not only a UAP question. It sits directly inside his subcommittee's mandate to account for every dollar of taxpayer money. Burchett's concern covers more than the McCaslin and the Monica Reza cases, which we have covered exclusively here on this channel. Between June of 2025 and March of 2026, other scientists with advanced research backgrounds died or went missing. MIT nuclear physicist Professor Nuno Loureiro was fatally shot in December of 2025. Caltech astrophysicist Carl Gromeyer was shot in his home in February of 2026. A Novartis scientist named Jason Thomas disappeared in December of 2025, and his body was recovered from a Massachusetts lake on March 17th. Authorities say no foul play is currently suspected in that case. No public investigation has confirmed a connection between any of these cases. But what Burchett is pointing out to this is the concentration across specific research fields inside a compressed time frame involving people who held classified knowledge. And it's also worth noting very briefly here that Missouri Congressman Eric Burlison, who has David Grush serving as his UAP advisor, confirmed weeks ago that both he and Grush attempted to contact McCaslin before he disappeared after receiving a tip that the general held a significant amount of UFO information, and each outreach was declined.
Nothing happens by coincidence in this town or around this town. Something's going on. It was the week after the president announced he was going to start releasing some of those files too.
6 days. That is the gap between Trump's UAP declassification announcement and McCaslin leaving his home and not returning. Burchett is not treating that as a coincidence.
Some of the UFO files?
Yep. And that may be coincidental, but we had several folks have left this earth or disappeared that had some close proximity to a lot of that. And that's been going on for a while. That's nothing new.
He's not describing a recent spike. He's saying this has a history and that the current cases are the latest instances of a pattern he's been watching for some time. He told Benny Johnson he brought this all up directly to President Trump and asked what he thought. Burchett described the picture as a layer after layer with really no bottom. And then he said something that most coverage walked straight past. Without being asked about his personal safety, without any prompt, Burchett put it on record and on camera that he's not suicidal. That doesn't happen without a reason. And Burchett's subcommittee has the authority to demand answers on classified spending. If these programs don't exist, where is that money gone? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Then, on March 20th, 2026, NASA astronaut Don Petit shared a close-up photograph taken aboard the International Space Station during his Expedition 72 mission. The image shows a dark, roughly egg-shaped object with thick, black little tentacles erupting from its base in every direction. No gravity pulling them down, spreading outward in a full spread. It looks organic, and it looks like something in the process of emerging. The internet responded within hours of this image, and users across platforms flooded with replies saying it looks like an egg hatching, and multiple people compared it to the Alien franchise. One reply read, "Kill it with fire." Don had been growing a purple potato in a personal little area experiment aboard the station. He named it Sputnik 1. Ha, funny joke. But doesn't that look oddly familiar? If not, we need to go back to August of 2025. A TikTok user in Panama posted a series of videos claiming a meteorite had landed in his backyard and it was transforming. The footage showed a roughly egg-shaped object with what appeared to be organic material erupting from its surface, beginning kind of blackish, then greenish and yellow, and then really darkening into a sticky black coating that appeared to move and breathe. That footage spread to millions of views within days, and people named it Venom after the Marvel character. The comment section read almost identically to the NASA potato reaction months later. It looks alive. Something is hatching. The difference is that the Panama video was a hoax from the start. It was never a meteorite in the first place. Instead, it was a painted potato and then turned into a common silicon-based polymer mixed with an industrial solvent. Now, when we place these two images side by side, a stage hoax from Panama in August of 2025 and a real, fully explained NASA photograph from March of this year, the visual language between the two is eerily close. Not loosely similar, but close enough that the global public reaction was nearly word for word identical across both, and also both were potatoes. Were those Venom-type videos preparing for the NASA drop? NASA receives significant federal funding. NASA has a formal presence inside the same government Burchett's subcommittee is authorized to examine. And Burchett walked out of a classified NASA briefing with a very specific impression of what they were and what they were not willing to share.
I see NASA right there, and NASA says they don't have anything. We don't have any files. We don't have any. Well, what the heck did I get briefed on by those knuckleheads? I'm over it. I'm over it. We're not going to get this. And when I'm told in a setting that the president is on some of this stuff is on a need-to-know basis, I mean, what the heck does that mean?
Start keeping it.
That's the issue right there.
And when asked what is driving that resistance, his answer pointed away from national security entirely, and something that I think really resonates.
Well, these old timers up here in both parties don't like it because he's rocked their boats, upset their little retirement plans.
Both parties protecting their own interests out of what? out of greed. And the classified spending that funds those interests runs through the same federal budget this subcommittee is now authorized to examine. Burchett says even the president is on a need-to-know basis on UAP. So what does that tell you about how much is actually being managed and by whom? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. I'm Cristina Gomez, and that is it for today. I will see you again tomorrow at 10 a.m. PST for another UFO news update. Be safe, and remember, keep your eyes on the skies. If you enjoyed today's show, hit that like button. And if you're not subscribed, what are you waiting for? Hit the notification bell as I do daily UFO news and updates. Fresh UAP stories, government disclosures, and breaking developments land here every single day.